Hello, welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you were watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm back with another update coming out from the war between Russia and Ukraine, and I've got a ton of huge news to brief you all on today. So today's date is June 3rd, 2025, and it's Tuesday. Welcome back, guys. Lots of huge news to get into in today's update with this war, and we have very big news coming out from the Kerch Bridge, and I want to show you guys this story first. Take a look at your screen. Ukraine detonates 1,100 kilograms of explosives attached to the Crimean Bridge. Security Service of Ukraine, or SBU, carried out the third attack against the Crimean Bridge since Russia's full-scale war began in 2022, mining and damaging its underwater supports. So this was a video coming out actually from some security camera footage under the bridge showing the detonation of this. So I'm assuming Ukraine had to have hacked into the security cameras to display this video showing the detonation. So we're going to go over all the details here. This is huge. This is something we've been waiting on for a long time, was Ukraine to attack the Kerch Bridge once again. Many of us thought it was going to be some sort of missile attack, and apparently there were some missiles or rocket drones heading towards the bridge as well. Multiple explosions reported over here. I think underwater sea drones were also attacking the bridge at the same time. This story is still unfolding right now, but I'll give you guys some of the latest details I was able to gather up here this morning. So we'll talk about that. We also have reports coming out of the Zaporizhzhia and Kherson regions down in southern Ukraine. This is going to be an occupied territory controlled by the Russians. Ukraine launched a massive drone swarm down there, also targeting Crimea last night. In the Zaporizhzhia and Kherson regions, we had power substations being attacked and destroyed, and tens of thousands of citizens in those areas without power. Okay, again, this is an occupied territory in Ukraine, not inside of Ukrainian controlled territory. Okay, so we'll talk about that also. Apparently, Neptune's being fired down in Crimea. Also, air bases being attacked down there. Ukraine was just hammering Crimea overnight, all the way through the morning. We even had some drones entering up near Moscow today, I think attacking the Ver region. So Ukraine just really unleashing a massive amount of attacks onto Russia right now. And we were hearing just the other day that Volodymyr Zelenskyy was stating yesterday, actually, that they might carry out some sort of other operation or do something to force Russia into peace. I showed you guys multiple sources of information talking about that yesterday, and I had a feeling Ukraine was going to do something like this. Okay, so much news to get into, guys. We're going to go ahead and just dive into this, and I'll start showing you the information. We'll start off here with Defense of Ukraine. Security Service of Ukraine has carried out a new, unique special operation and struck the Crimean Bridge for the third time, this time underwater. The operation lasted several months. The Security Service agents planted explosives on the supports of the illegal structure, and today at 4:44 a.m., without any civilian casualties, first explosive device was detonated. The underwater pillars of the bridge supports were severely damaged at the seabed level, thanks to 1,100 kilograms of explosives in TNT equivalent. As a result, the bridge is now in critical condition. So this is the video coming out that I had for you guys on the waiting screen. I know you saw it multiple times, but we'll just pull it up briefly real quick. Full screen so you can see this detonation of this explosives here on the support beams. And apparently they damaged some of the steel beams underneath the bridge that support the structure and hold it up. Okay, so we're going to talk about this. How much damage was done to the Kerch Bridge? Is it going to be critical condition like what they're stating here? We're going to have to really wait and see for more evidence and information coming out over the hours here. But I do have lots of different things to show you in regards to this. So we'll try to move through this as quick as we can. Lots of news you can see here to cover. Max 25, this is what the Crimean Bridge looks like in section, and it's actually blown up supports, highlighted in the red in the photo. SBU indicated that 1,100 kilograms of explosives were detonated near the bottom. So here's kind of a diagram to show what Ukraine targeted, okay? They planted these explosives way down deep below the water, and below the water, there's these steel support beams that support the structure of the pillars here that hold up the bridge. That's apparently what they detonated to damage. Now, we didn't see the bridge collapse or anything, but maybe there will be some significant damage that will cause the bridge to be unusable. So we'll have to see what's going to happen here over the coming hours. Now from Ukrainian Review, SBU head Vasyl Malyuk. God loves the Trinity. We struck the Crimean Bridge twice in 2022 and 2023. So today we continue this tradition underwater. No illegal Russian facilities have a place on the territory of our state. Therefore, the Crimean Bridge is an absolutely legitimate target, especially considering that the enemy used it as a logistical artery to supply its troops. Crimea is Ukraine, and any manifestations of occupation will receive our tough response. Okay, so major statement coming out from Vasyl Maluk. So he's the head of the SBU, Security Service out of Ukraine, okay? And he's also the head of the operation Spider's Web, where they went after these strategic bombers all across Russian airfields just on Sunday. Okay, so this was part of his operation again, going after the Kerch Bridge. Okay, so major statement there. Now from Igor Sushko, breaking: Ukrainian sea drones are now crashing into defensive structures around the Kerch Bridge to clear the path for subsequent sea drones to reach the bridge itself. So here's kind of a little picture showing these little buoys that the Russians have set up. I think they might be like containers, like shipping containers that are set up all along the water to protect the bridge, so that way it's not attacked by sea drones. And apparently, Ukraine was using sea drones and crashing them into these barriers to destroy them. That way, other sea drones with explosive warheads could swim in and try to attack the bridge. So apparently, there was just so many explosions going on from what I was seeing with all the information coming out. At least 2 confirmed explosions on the Kerch Bridge is what I was able to gather for you guys. So again, we're still waiting for official details on the damage. Now from Bandera Fella, what hit the Crimean Bridge this time? A truck, or was it Ukraine's underwater drone Marishka? Panic is spreading in occupied Crimea, air raid sirens blaring, alert from the sea. Marishka is no myth, a stealth underwater UAV with a range up to 1,000 kilometers, purpose-built for operations just like this. So here's this underwater drone that Ukraine has called Marishka, and a lot of reports were indicating that this was the type of drone that was also attacking the bridge. Was this used to detonate the explosives? I don't really know. I'm thinking that it was remotely detonated at first, at least the explosives that were attached to the support pillars on the bridge. And apparently there was underwater sea drones also attacking, so most likely this was a type of drone also attacking the bridge. We don't have any confirmed hits of this drone striking the bridge yet. Maybe we'll get that later. Now from Maria Drutska, the Crimean Bridge has been blown up again. Security Service of Ukraine confirmed the demolition of the bridge's supports. Operation took several months. SBU agents planted explosives on the supports of the illegal structure. The underwater foundations were severely damaged at the seabed level. 1,100 kilograms of explosives, TNT equivalent, helped with that. Here's a picture coming out also showing what looks like these guardrails or something that got damaged. I'm not sure exactly how this happened, but this is another photo that Ukraine was sharing today showing damage to the bridge. And clearly this lane here is going to be blocked with that support beam or support guardrail that was bent and pretty much sticking out in the middle of the road. There is what it looks like to me. You guys can let me know what you think you're seeing there, but that's what it looks like to me. But definitely nonetheless damage here to the top of the bridge as well. Now from Jay in Kiev, seems Crimea may now be unsafe for Russian occupiers. Time to go home. So these were Russian sources on Telegram complaining about these attacks. You can see Emergency Sevastopol reporting what the Crest posted as mining of the Crimean Bridge under attack again. We're clarifying the consequences, writes the military monitoring. Also says Crimean Bridge under attack again. We're clarifying the last, and it's kind of cut off there. Kerch Crimean Bridge attack by BEK, including enemy underwater vehicles, writes military monitoring. Okay, so underwater sea drones were attacking as well, confirmed by the Russians. Also says here, Kerch Crimean Bridge attack, BEK, including submarines. Entire coast of Crimea and Sevastopol is in danger from combat, BEK, monitoring reports. Finally here, danger to surface and underwater targets throughout the entire territory of the Crimean coast and Sevastopol. Okay, so this was a massive operation, guys. Looks like attacks from different angles. Even rocket drones were being fired over there. Maybe even cruise missiles. We'll have to see here. Now for Military News UA, someone is breaking through the barriers of the Crimean Bridge, and the attack of the Crimean Bridge is ongoing. Okay, this was another report from Russian Telegram sources. Okay, so someone breaking through. Again, these are probably those underwater sea drones attacking the barriers, trying to get to the bridge. Now from Igor Sushko, explosions in Kerch, occupied Crimea, missile or jet drone flew through Krasno-Perekopsk, if I'm saying that correctly, and an explosion sounded in Kerch at around 12:17 a.m. Second attack followed at 4:54 a.m. as Russian air defenses launched missiles to intercept only after the Kerch Bridge was closed. Okay, so apparently there was 1, maybe 2 missiles being fired. Could have been rocket UAV drones also. This was the flight path here coming from This would have been like towards occupied Ukraine, but maybe coming from Odessa over here or something. It was flying this direction towards the Kerch Bridge. It's a reported flight path of a Ukrainian cruise missile or powered jet drone. The object's speed was around 800 kilometers per hour. Sighting in Krasno-Perekopsk around 12 a.m. June 3rd, 2025. Explosion in Kerch, 12:17 a.m. June 3rd. Okay, so there was an explosion near the Kerch Bridge as well, apparently due to cruise missiles or jet-powered drones is what's being reported here. And here's another report. Max 25, debris fell on the road. Russia announced an attack near the Crimean bridge. Russian media are reporting that a jet drone was allegedly shot down on the morning of Tuesday, June 3rd. At the moment, when cars were still driving on the bridge, debris fell directly on the road. Monitoring channels report that after this, traffic on the bridge was blocked for almost 3 hours. Okay, so allegedly, maybe one of these drones, jet drones or cruise missiles that Ukraine fired towards the bridge was shot down and landed directly on the bridge. Now, I don't have any confirmed hits on the bridge with any cruise missiles or anything like that, but again, the information is still coming out repeatedly every hour, just keeps changing, so maybe we'll get some updates here soon and some more damage reports for you guys. Now from next breaking, Crimean Telegram channels already reporting explosions in Feodosia and air defense activity at the Belbek Air Base. So Belbek Air Base down in Crimea reportedly being attacked, and Feodosia, we've talked about this city before. They had like a oil depot down there that got struck by Neptune missiles. I want to say it was probably like 6-8 months ago, somewhere around there, reported that. That's right by the Kerch Bridge as well. Okay, massive explosions apparently in Feodosia. Also, Belbek Air Base down in Crimea being attacked. Now for Bliskovka, Russians have announced the detention of an agent of Ukraine's special services in Crimea. According to their version, the man allegedly made a powerful bomb and planned a terrorist attack on instructions from Kiev. They claim that he assembled the explosives according to video instructions. Probably this is another case for reporting they detained someone for a picture of unsuccessful work. Okay, so I'm not sure if the Russians are trying to paint a picture here that maybe they got somebody that was trying to attack the bridge and they've thwarted this attack or whatnot, but videos coming out today showing that Ukraine has attacked the bridge, at least with explosives that were attached to one of the pillars. This is actually a video coming out, but I'm not going to show this because I think this might be a past video on the Kerch Bridge showing smoke over there. A lot of people were saying this video was incorrect, so I don't want to give you guys false information until I can confirm that. But allegedly this was showing the bridge smoking, and it could have been from a previous attack from Ukraine. Now from Visioner, breaking, Russian military correspondents are reporting that a repeat explosion occurred on the Crimean bridge a few minutes ago. Okay, so there's that report indicating that we had multiple explosions. I'm hearing at least 2 confirmed explosions. That would be the first explosion with the detonation of the explosives on the pillar. Somehow there was some sort of detonation or explosion on the bridge soon after that, maybe hours later. And this could have been possibly due to the underwater sea drones that were being used. Okay, but we'll wait for official confirmation on that. Now for Max 25, changes are being recorded at the Kerch Bridge support that was blown up this morning, the Crimean Wind Monitoring Group reports. For comparison, here are the images from June 1st and June 3rd. Okay, so 2 images that are being shown here. I'm not sure if this is June 1st. I'm thinking it is. I can't really read that because it's not in English, but it's showing the support structure of the bridge right here that was reportedly attacked. This is showing it from June 1st, and then soon after, we're seeing on June 3rd here, it looks completely different. So I'm a little confused because I can't read whether this is in English or not, but apparently you can clearly see a major change in the support structure here on the side. Okay, there's a lot more mass here, and then in this photo, you're seeing a lot less. Okay, and if anything, there's actually a gaping hole right here is what it looks like. Okay, so obviously these photos are very blurry to see. We can't really see exactly the damage here, but possibly indicating major damage to the bridge there. So now we'll move on to another one from Military News UA. It is reported that the Crimean bridge was blown up this way. So this is actually an AI photo that's just kind of a joke. I wanted to show you guys this. This is being passed around all over Ukrainian independent news channels on X today, just kind of laughing about this, the fact that Ukraine was using these, which are called like missile carriers or drone carriers, that Ukraine used to attack the airfields just on Sunday. They were using these trucks like this. So it's kind of a meme going on right now that Ukraine is using these trucks now to blow up the bridge and kind of making fun of the Russians because that's literally what was used to destroy their strategic bomber fleet, okay, in Russia recently. So kind of a funny photo coming out from there. Just wanted to show you guys that. Now take a look at this from Preston Stewart. Russian media TASS reports that traffic has resumed across the Kerch Bridge. Okay, so look at this. This is what TASS news agency, state media out of Russia, is reporting today. Traffic interrupted on the Crimean bridge due to information about activity by enemy forces off the coast of Crimea has been resumed. This is reported by Telegram channel about the situation on the approaches to the bridge. Okay, so take this with a grain of salt until we get official confirmation. But apparently, Russian state TV is reporting, or state news that is, reporting today that the traffic has resumed. So that would indicate that the bridge was not heavily damaged, if that happens to be true. But again, let's wait for more confirmation. So far, this is what the Russians are reporting. We haven't heard anything coming out from the Ukrainian side just yet, okay? So now from Visioner, right now, missile attacks are being carried out on the port and military infrastructure of Sevastopol and the Crimean Peninsula using Ukrainian Neptune-type cruise missiles, okay? So there was reports even of Neptune missiles apparently flying on down to Sevastopol. I was hearing of massive explosions down there. It's a major city in southwestern Crimea that is repeatedly attacked, usually from Ukraine. A lot of Russian forces are stationed around Sevastopol. Also, a lot of military airfields are located near there as well. Now from Igor Sushko, Russia, lots of Ukrainian drones flying through Konokovo, Ver region, presumably towards Moscow. So now we're going to move on to some drones that were entering also into Russian territory earlier this morning. You can see the date here, June 3rd at 6:53 a.m. my time, okay? So this would have been happening during the day over there in Russia. I just want to show you guys a quick clip from this. We're not going to watch the whole thing. You see here it's 6 minutes long, but we'll just show you a little bit of this. Take a look.
ПВО заработает. О, пошло дело. Все какие-то разные, блин. Вон пулемет фигарит. Идет пулемет. Вон он.
Okay, so again, up here in the Ver region, we can see a drone flying over here, probably a Ukrainian Lyuti drone being shot at by Russian forces. This is not too far away from Moscow, just a little bit like to the west of Moscow. Reportedly, the Ver region coming under attack by drones as well. Here's a report also coming out from Ver, Russia. And apparently we had some sort of building or structure on fire here. Is this due to a Ukrainian drone attack? Quite possibly, but what's also being reported was it was just a fire that broke out at a factory over here. I don't have all the details yet, but it's possible maybe this could be a Ukrainian drone attack where this took place here, considering it's in the same region that we know drones were entering. So now let's move on to Visioner. Ukrainians attacked the Konokovo thermal power plant in the Ver region. The attack is still ongoing. Okay, so allegedly, according to this information also, maybe could the thermal power plant up here in the Ver region have been attacked as well. Now, we saw two electrical substations being attacked down in the Zaporizhzhia and Kherson regions. I'll show you guys that information here in just a moment. So it looks like Ukraine's going after a lot of electrical substations and thermal power plants right now, once again going after Russian energy. And usually we don't see this coming from them. They usually go after their oil industry, but now we're seeing them targeting thermal power plants and whatnot. If this happens to be true, we'll wait for more information on that. Now for Max 25, the U.S. has said it expects Russia to retaliate heavily against Ukraine for its airfield strikes, according to New York Times. American intelligence has not yet determined what Russia might strike, but officials believe Moscow could resume drone strikes on civilian targets, strike the power grid, or launch new waves of ballistic missiles. So, apparently New York Times writing Russia's preparing a massive retaliation event onto Ukraine for going after their airfields and their strategic bombers. We're hearing maybe upwards of 41 could have been destroyed. Also got some new news today that two A-50 AWACS planes have been reportedly hit, apparently according to some journalists out of the U.S. or that's been given some information from Ukraine's SBU, so we'll talk about that as well. So expect massive retaliation from the Russians soon to fire probably ballistic missiles into Ukraine, maybe go after their electric grid. Who knows what's going to happen here? Russians are going to do something. And then take a look at this from World Source News 24/7 breaking. The whole of Ukraine is under air siren due to threat of Russian IRBM launch. Yeah, so apparently now Ukraine under air raid alerts the entire country due to potentially intermediate range ballistic missiles being fired into Ukraine once again, like the Oreshnik that Ukraine or that Russia talks about a lot, that they might fire into Ukraine again. This was fired into Dnipro, the city of Dnipro down here in the Dnipropetrovsk region just a few months back, and the Russians might do that again, maybe fire multiples. Who knows what's going to happen here? But if you look at this map also over here to the right, if you can see, these are the drone carriers that were being used, these cargo trucks, and they're facing towards Russia. So apparently the Ukrainians, when they're putting out these maps now, they're kind of mocking Russia by adding this right here and saying, hey, don't forget what we did to you, even though you're attacking us. We did destroy your strategic bomber fleet using simple cargo trucks and FPV drones. So you're probably going to be seeing that on a lot of these maps that I show you guys. Now for Max 25, massive drones attack on Crimea, map from Drone Bomber. So this was the map coming out yesterday evening showing this massive drone attack onto Crimea and occupied regions. So again, Zaporizhzhia and Kherson regions in occupied territory were being attacked at the same time. Drones were entering down here. You can see a lot of them going towards where the Kerch Bridge would be located. Also, Krasnodar region being attacked. Just Crimea being hammered last night. Lots of drones entering down there. Now take a look at this from Military News UA. Total blackout across the entire occupied part of Zaporizhzhia and significant parts of Kherson regions due to UAV attacks at night, Russian media report. Russian bases and ammunition depots were also hit. Strikes were made on several substations. There are numerous damage to bases and storage of equipment. Preliminarily, up to 44 objects that the Russians use as bases and treatment sites were hit, according to Andrushenko. As a result, this significantly complicated the attempted offensive in Zaporizhzhia due to the loss and neutralization of logistics and infrastructure. Also, the connection to the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant is postponed for at least a month due to the need for global repairs of the destroyed substations. They write that this is the biggest blow to the occupied territory since 2022. Yes, Ukraine was hammering these substations. Here's one right here on fire from Ukrainian drone attacks. Another fire being reported. I mean, look at that one. That's a massive flame there in the background. Not sure if that's an electrical substation on fire as well. It probably was. Maybe ammunition depot also, because that was reportedly hit down here. Here's another one on fire as well. Okay, so tens of thousands of residents in these areas completely without power due to these attacks. And this is also to thwart the offensive that the Russians are trying to carry out right now onto Zaporizhzhia. They're trying to press forward into the Zaporizhzhia region and try to take it over completely. And Ukraine's trying to put a halt to that, because we've been hearing as well from Oleksandr Syrsky, the commander of Ukraine's armed forces. He reported a couple days ago to us that the Russians are intensifying their offensive in the Zaporizhzhia direction. So this is why Ukraine is doing this also. Now from Ukrainian Review, during the night, Russia attacked Ukraine with strike drones. In Odessa, residential buildings and civilian infrastructure were damaged. 5 were injured. Kharkiv, 1 person killed, another were injured and after a mail terminal was hit. In Chernihiv, a high-rise building, private houses, educational institution, and industrial enterprise were damaged. 4 were injured. Here's pictures coming out from Ukraine last night. They were getting hammered by drones as well from the Russians. You can see lots of damage here. It looks like a warehouse completely burned down and destroyed. Here's a car destroyed, another house destroyed. Russians once again going after civilian infrastructure in Ukraine. We can see here, even with this home and somebody's car being hit and destroyed here. Now from Status 6, Military and Conflict News, Blue Sky 2. Ukrainian city of Odessa under attack of Russian Shahid Garan type long-range OWA UAVs. Multiple strikes reported. So we've got a video here as well. We're not going to watch the whole thing, but we can see a fire that broke out here in Odessa. This is in southwestern Ukraine. They were heavily being bombarded by Russian drones last night. You can see even some tracer rounds going up in the skies over there. Ukrainian air defense teams trying to shoot down drones that were incoming to the area. So massive attack on Odessa last night being reported. Very sad to see that. Now from NOAA reports, explosions are reported in Mykolaiv. Looks like the Russians launched a Kh-47M2 Kinzhal missile from a MiG-31K. There are reports of power outages in the area. So apparently the Russians responding in kind, also targeting potentially a power substation or some sort of electrical grid inside the city of Mykolaiv. Okay, this is also southwestern Ukraine, I believe, and looks like a MiG-31 fired a Kinzhal missile, striking some sort of power substation or something over there as well. This is a picture coming out showing the smoke over there from the damage of this missile being fired. Now from a live UA map, 3 people killed, 16 wounded as a result of MLRS shelling against crowded streets in Sumy. So there's a picture coming out, guys. I can't show you a whole lot. There's just so much gruesome scenes here that was reported. These 2 cars were driving down the street, and apparently they were shelled by MLRS rockets that had cluster munitions on them. So this shows how close the Russians are getting to Sumy. Okay, they're able to shell Sumy directly. They're trying to get in within range of using artillery also on the city. They're going to start getting hit very hard, just like Kharkiv is all the time. We're going to see a lot of innocent people losing their lives today. And reportedly, I last heard 4 people were killed here. Some of the updated numbers, more than 16 wounded as well. So very sad, guys. Now for Max 25, occupiers are trying to advance to the distance of an artillery strike on Sumy, but they will not be able to capture the city, according to Institute for Study of War. Okay, so a report coming out from them today stating that Russia's trying to close in on the city of Sumy so they can advance and strike using artillery, like I just talked about. So expect that to be coming soon. You know, just like what we see down in Kherson, they're being attacked repeatedly almost every day by artillery shells. Now that's going to start happening to Sumy if Ukraine is not able to push the Russians out. And so far, they haven't been able to. Now for Max 25, enemy KABs or guided aerial bombs have become longer range and can hit at a distance of up to 95 kilometers, reports the Kharkiv prosecutor's office. Now Russian air bombs are capable of attacking not only Kharkiv, but also settlements south of the city. Russians could install new high explosive air bombs with increased range planning modules. This got not good news also, guys. I mean, coming out from Kharkiv now, they're going to be getting hammered by guided aerial bombs now as well. We see a lot of these dropped more often in like the southern side of Ukraine, like Zaporizhia, Kherson regions, down in the south. But now the Russians are going to be able to start using these to start striking Kharkiv. Kharkiv gets hit by glide bombs repeatedly almost every day in drones. So not good news for Kharkiv. Now from NOAA reports, the Ukrainian delegation led by First Deputy Prime Minister Yulia Sviridenko has arrived in Washington, according to Presidential Office head Andriy Yermak. Key topics on the agenda include defense support, strengthening sanctions against Russia, and the return of deported Ukrainian children. Yeah, so apparently we have a Ukrainian delegation that was heading over to Washington today. Maybe they're going to be meeting at the White House with Trump. And apparently also have some information they might be holding a conference with Congress as well, talking about this attack that happened a few days ago on Russian airfields. So Andriy Yermak reportedly was also on this plane. He's the head of the presidential office out of Ukraine, working right alongside of Volodymyr Zelenskyy. Now from Savchenko Vladimir, Ukraine will present the details of Operation Spiderweb in the U.S. Congress. Senate will have a speech by the deputy head of the presidential office, Colonel Pavlo Palisa. This will be a closed hearing at which sensitive information will be announced regarding the situation on the battlefield and the results of our operations. The goal is strengthening cooperation in the field of defense and sanctions against Russia, advocacy of Senator Graham's bill. Okay, so this looks like to me like Ukraine is going to be working directly with Washington, also Congress. They're going to be working hand in hand with this whole sanctions bill that's upcoming here very soon. So Ukraine repeatedly putting pressure onto Russia with all these operations, Operation Spiderweb, and the one we saw today on the Kerch Bridge. And then on top of that, with all these massive sanctions coming potentially from the U.S. soon, maybe even from the EU if they follow up with their 18th package of sanctions onto Russia as well. This could really force Russia to peace, and I think something crazy is going to happen here very soon, as it looks like Russia could be running out of time before these massive sanctions come. Now, let's see if that happens yet. I won't hold my tongue on that just yet. Let's wait and see for official confirmation if the U.S. is going to do anything, but I'm seeing lots of good reports on that today. So take a look at this from Ukrainian Review. U.S. Senate could begin work on sanctions against Russia as early as this month, according to Reuters. We will give President Trump every tool he has to get Russia to the negotiating table, he said. Thune added that he was discussing the bill with the White House. Okay, so here's a report. U.S. Senate may work on Russia's sanctions bill this month. All right, so huge report right there, guys. Within the next few weeks, we could be hearing lots of news coming out regarding sanctions. Again, let's see if the U.S. pulls the trigger, and I think it really comes down to Trump at the end of the day. Is Trump going to veto this bill? What's going to happen? Or will Trump even have the power to veto it? I don't know all the details yet, but apparently Congress is moving on that now. And take a look at this also from next. Trump has lost his patience again for the 5th time. According to the U.S. ambassador to Turkey, President Trump has reached the limit of his patience finally. He's already lost it at least 3 times, but somehow it keeps sticking around. He's not exactly a very patient man. I believe my president is saying, if you don't want to put an end to the senseless deaths everywhere, don't count on us for long, because America will no longer be a globalist country, Tom Barak said in an interview with Turkish channel NTV. All right, so let's see here too, because we've been hearing a lot of reports that Trump's very unhappy with the way things are going with this war right now. He wants this war to end. And I know a lot of people think that Trump stands for the side of Russia, and maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But we'll see really ultimately here in the end if Trump actually makes actions to to sanction Russia and allow these sanctions to roll through, then I guess we'll find out what's going to happen here very soon. But this was a new update regarding Trump today. Now from Kiev Post, Ukraine has been invited to NATO summit set for June 24th to the 25th in The Hague, according to Zelenskyy. So this is an update as well regarding this summit that's supposed to be happening at The Hague soon. We've been hearing that Zelenskyy might not attend because there could be some sort of major argument that breaks out between Trump and Zelenskyy again. Apparently, NATO Secretary Mark Rutte was worried about that. But apparently, Ukraine is going to be heading to The Hague for this major summit coming up very soon, June 24th and 25th. Now, for more translated, Medvedev woke up this morning and decided to remind everyone that Russia needs this war and that it's not particularly interested in the Istanbul negotiations and they're merely dragging out time. When will the American administration finally open its eyes? Dear folks, they're feeding you lies and you're saying thank you. So look at this report from Dmitry Medvedev today. This is the deputy head of the National Security Council. We've been talking so much about him over the last year or so. He's very much like a war hawk, and the way he speaks is extremely aggressive towards NATO. You've been calling for nuclear strikes on NATO countries and destroying Ukraine with nuclear weapons and whatnot. Look at this statement from him. To all who are worried and waiting for retribution, you need to worry. This is normal person's quality. Retribution is inevitable. It is important to remember. Number one, our army is actively advancing and will continue to advance. Everything that must explode will certainly explode, and those who must be exterminated will disappear. Number two, the negotiations in Istanbul are not needed for a compromised peace on unrealistic conditions invented by someone, but for our speedy victory and the complete destruction of the neo-Nazi government. This is the meaning of the Russian memorandum, which was published yesterday. All right, so basically coming out to me is what I see here, him coming out saying, we don't need these Istanbul peace negotiations. Our goal at the end of the day is complete destruction of Ukraine. That's basically what he's stating here, okay? So remember that as I show you guys this next report. From Lindsey Graham, okay, this is the U.S. Senator that's trying to push these sanctions through Congress right now. 500% secondary tariffs on any nation doing business with Russia purchasing their oil, okay? That's the sanctions bill that might go through Congress. Look at this statement from Lindsey Graham. Congratulations to Mr. Medvedev for a rare moment of honesty coming from the Russian propaganda machine. I appreciate you making it clear to the world that Putin and Russia are not remotely interested in peace. I mean, guys, that is huge coming out today from Congress, especially from Lindsey Graham, as we know that he's been deciding whether to put this bill forward in the Senate and try to sanction Russia. So it looks like that's going to be coming here very soon, especially after that statement clearly showing that Russia is not serious about ending this war. I mean, that proves it right there 100%, right? Now from Banderafella, confirmed at least one Tu-95 MS strategic bomber has been destroyed at the Ukrainka air base. This marks the fifth Russian airbase hit in yesterday's unprecedented wave of deep strikes. Until now, the attack on Ukrainka was believed to have been failed, but it didn't. It landed hard. Okay, so allegedly, the Ukrainka airbase was one of the air bases that we reported to you guys just yesterday that reportedly was not attacked. Apparently, the attack failed. Well, according to this information now, it looks like the attack did not fail, and a lot of reports were coming out showing that a Tu-95 MS was destroyed over here at the Ukrainka air base. This is an air base far eastern Russia, super far away from Ukraine. Okay, and reportedly they have destroyed at least one Tu-95 MS strategic bomber over there. Okay, so that's a major hit, considering that yesterday we had reports talking about the fact that this base was not hit. So allegedly, we could have had a Tu-95 destroyed is what that information is stating. Now from Vicegrad24 breaking, Ukraine shows journalists videos of its drones striking two Russian Berev A-50 Airborne Early Warning Control, or AEW&C aircraft during the recent truck-delivered FPV drone attacks against Russia's Strategic Air Force. Planes cost around $400 million each. So almost $1 billion in losses if two of these were destroyed, okay? These are intelligence planes that Russia has, and they have very few of them. And I'm hearing that due to these two potentially being destroyed also, that Russia could have none of these in service anymore, okay? They could be completely out of intelligence planes if they were both destroyed. I know Russia only had a very small amount of these, maybe 2 or 3 or something like that. And if Ukraine had destroyed 2 of these, according to this information, that means Russia might not have no more eyes on the sky anymore, and this will definitely affect their operations. So huge hits here, and we'll wait for further confirmation on this. But Ukraine was showing journalists this videos of attacks on these A-50s apparently just over the last 24 hours. Now, from Volodymyr Zelenskyy, the president of Ukraine, when asked by journalists whether yesterday's operation might enrage the Russians, I responded that just a day earlier, Russia had launched a massive overnight attack on Ukraine. Over 480 drones and missiles. They struck civilian infrastructure, residential buildings. There were casualties, people killed and injured. This happens every single day. Sometimes there's a short pause, and to be honest, we now call it a pause if there's just no one killed that night. But even then, drones still flying, people still get wounded. Their so-called pauses just mean fewer attacks than usual, but we're still talking about dozens of drones and cruise missiles. So no one cares whether Russia is angry. What matters is that Russia must move towards ending this war. And as a global community, we must do all we can to stop them. We are very much awaiting strong steps from the United States. We hope he will support sanctions and push Putin to stop this war, at least to take the first step toward ending it, a ceasefire. These are critical things. I believe that from the position of the U.S., we will be able to achieve this faster. So Zelenskyy responding to apparently some journalists asking him if they were worried that Russia's going to be really angry at this attack and maybe launch some sort of retaliation against his country. He's saying that no, we're not worried about this because every single day Ukrainians are being killed all the time. So it's perfectly right for them to go after these airfields, destroy these strategic bombers that are launching missile attacks onto Ukraine on a repeated basis, basically killing Ukrainian civilians, and all they're trying to do is prevent these attacks. So Zelenskyy just responding to these airfields being attacked over the weekend on Sunday. Now from NOAA Reports, U.S. House Speaker Mike Johnson backs toughest possible sanctions on Russia, telling the New York Post. Many in Congress want sanctions against Russia as strongly as we can, and I'm an advocate of that. Okay, so allegedly, Mike Johnson very serious about allowing these sanctions to go through, and remember, he's the Speaker of the House. Okay, so if the Senate can pass this bill, that means that Mike Johnson will also support this bill as well in the House, so making it easier for this bill to pass through the House as well, meaning it will go into law, and to any countries that support buying Russian oil, and the main countries being India and China would be forced to no longer purchase Russian oil anymore, and this could collapse Russia's economy, force them into peace, and ending this war. So this is really the big one here. Let's see if Congress ends up getting this passed and put forward for a vote. Let's see what happens there, and it might for sure force Russia to end it. Now from Bliskovka, the White House and Ukraine consider some of the conditions for a ceasefire put forward by Russia in Istanbul yesterday to be unworkable. This was reported by U.S. officials to ABC News. According to them, Moscow is trying to disrupt meaningful negotiations. Trump is disappointed with the outcome of the talks in Istanbul and has been increasingly distancing himself from the war in Ukraine, the outlet reports. Okay, so more talks. That's Trump very unhappy here and disappointed with the outcome of the talks. Is this possibly indicating that he's going to allow these sanctions to go through? We'll have to see here, but they're talking about how Russia's demands are unworkable. I mean, we know Ukraine is not going to agree to any of these. They basically came out with just a hammer fist hitting Ukraine with all these demands, saying, you got to agree to all of these or else we're not ending this war. And I went over those with you guys yesterday. We know for sure Ukraine will pretty much not agree to at least 90% of those ever. They've already come out and made their major red lines in terms of concessions, what they're willing to give up, and what they're not willing to give up, and Russia just crossing over all those red lines, trying to force Ukraine to capitulate. We know Ukraine will not do that. Now from Kiev Post, Ukraine plans to produce 2.5 million drones in 2025, 2.5 times more than 2024 when around 1 million UAVs were built, according to Bloomberg. More reports today that Ukraine's going to continue to get stronger with their drone development. This means heavier attacks onto Russia, and I highly recommend that Russia end this war now before Ukraine continues to get more powerful. I mean, they're just really massively boosting their defense industry right now, producing so many drones, and just look at what simple FPV drones like what we see here from this operation on the airfields over the weekend did. Doesn't take a whole lot to really do some major damage to Russia's military, and I think Russia's realizing that, or at least you'd hope they are right now. Now for MAX 25, Ukraine is likely to test the Wolf 25AD short-range air defense system jointly produced by Slovakia and Slovenia. Detection range of fighter jets up to 20 kilometers, helicopters up to 12 kilometers, cruise missiles up to 10 kilometers, UAVs up to 5 kilometers. It can simultaneously track up to 150 targets. So take a look at this. As on show, this was on show at a defense forum. You can see smsdefense.com and very cool pictures of this thing. So it's an air defense system reportedly produced by Slovakia and Slovenia that's going to be tested out in Ukraine. We've been seeing a lot of equipment just going over to Ukraine, and Ukraine's just a testing ground right now. At the same time, it helps out the Ukrainians, so why not? So lots of defense industries in multiple countries in Europe taking advantage of this war, testing out some new equipment. So there's a picture of that there. Now for Max 25, group of Russian prisoners of war from the Belgorod region. Here's another batch of Russian prisoners that have been captured in the Belgorod region. Again, so that means that Ukraine is still in the Belgorod region as well if they're able to capture them over there. As we've been hearing that Ukraine is controlling it, like maybe one or two settlements over there. I don't think it's a whole lot, but apparently they have captured some soldiers. Here's a new picture coming out today. Now for Liskovka, a meeting between Putin, Trump, and Zelenskyy is unlikely in the near future, Kremlin spokesman Peskov said. According to him, such contracts should be the result of technical agreements. All right, so according to Peskov, Dmitry Peskov, the Kremlin spokesman, he's stating today that that Trump, Putin, and Zelenskyy are unlikely to meet in the near future. And I'm thinking more every day. It's looking like Russia might just completely even pull out of these negotiations. They're not interested anymore, and they're very upset with all these continued attacks on their territory. Now the Kerch Bridge. So now from No Reports, a third round of talks between Ukraine and Russia could take place by the end of the month, but only if there are no more attacks on strategic aviation airfields, says Alexei Chepa, first deputy head of the Russian Duma Foreign Affairs Committee. He also claims Ukraine should accept Russia's proposed 2 to 3 day ceasefire on certain parts of the front. Malyuk, do it again. Okay, so apparently Alexei Chepa, first deputy head of Russian Duma Foreign Affairs Committee, so basically part of their parliament. He's coming out and saying that they will consider having another third round of talks with Ukraine if they do not attack their airfields anymore, or strategic aviation airfields. So is Ukraine going to do that again? Who knows if they will, but you can see here Russia's very worried about this, and this clearly shows also how much damage was done if they're calling on Ukraine not to do that again. And we heard yesterday, I gave you guys a report that Russia might back out of these talks also. So I'm thinking that's probably the way things are going to be going down the line here. Russia might just pull out of these talks. This war might get crazy out of control. Hopefully we don't see something really bad happen inside of Ukraine. I hope we don't ever see a nuclear exchange or something. I think that'd be highly unlikely, but who really knows, as Russia is really being backed into a corner right now. Now from Polymarket Intel, China is supplying military equipment to 20 Russian defense plants, Ukraine's intelligence chief says, effectively backing the war efforts against Ukraine. So this was a major report coming out yesterday that apparently China is supplying military equipment to 20 Russian defense plants. This was according to Ukraine's intelligence chief. So that's not good news. More signs that China is heavily cooperating with the Russians and providing military support for this war. They are not a neutral country. We've been reporting this for a while now. So much information coming out regarding that. And even recently, the Chinese cut off drone supplies to Ukraine, but they're still supplying to Russia. So who does that show that China stands for? You guys can let me know what you think. Final updates here, guys. 2 more to go over. Null reports. During the night of June 2nd to 3rd, Ukraine's air defense neutralized 75 enemy drones, including Shahed-type UAVs, out of 112 launched by Russia from multiple directions: Kursk, Oriol, Milorovo, Primorsko, Akhtarsk, and Crimea. All right, guys, so a lot of drones going into Ukraine last night. Looks like we had 112 in total launched by Russia, 75 being shot down. Also probably some being brought down by electronic warfare, but still a good amount of UAVs from the Russian side entering into Ukraine. Now our final update of the day, guys. Kyiv Independent. These are the indicative estimates of Russia's combat losses as of June 3rd, according to the Armed Forces of Ukraine. In our final update of the day, Russia's losses as of June 3rd, 1,100 troops, 8 AFVs, 145 vehicles and fuel tanks, 7 tanks, 48 artillery systems, 126 UAVs, 1 MLRS, 12 planes, 1 anti-aircraft warfare system. So one of the big ones I want to talk about here first is the planes. These were the strategic aircraft supposedly being destroyed over the weekend on Sunday, the bomber fleet. And apparently, Ukraine is recording 12 so far being destroyed. I think that's due to like satellite imagery being able to confirm that. But Vasyl Malyuk, the head of Ukraine's SBU, claimed that they had damaged or destroyed 41. So we'll see if that number changes in the future. But right now, they're confirming at least 12, maybe 13. I heard 13 yesterday that could have been destroyed. So maybe that number will update later. But aside from that, guys, pretty much average numbers here across the board. I'm not seeing like any major fluctuations here. Pretty much about average that we've been seeing over the last 2 to 3 weeks now. And I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in for this update. I apologize, these updates have been so long lately, but there's just been so much information that I want to try to cram in, and I wanted to try to get as much info as I could for you guys today, as there's just so much happening in this war. So I want to thank you so much for your patience and hanging out till the end of this video. And if you did get something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell, that way YouTube can notify you. With that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless, and we'll see you in the next one.